Hello, welcome back to the Wellness Generalist channel, and my name is Annie. Thank you for returning, or welcome if you're new. um, my name is Annie, as I just stated. I am a somatics practitioner and counselor, and um, I am sharing this video along a series for somatics foundations. And so This in this video, we will be focusing or orienting around death, dying, and grief. Okay. So if you are in a mental or emotional space where you might find this activating in an unhelpful way, or you are just, yeah, for whatever reason, not in a place to be thinking about death, dying, or grief, then I recommend pausing this and maybe checking out one of the other videos in this foundational series, which is a lot of resourcing, a lot of different tools around how we can access our own self, our bodies, as a resource for our well-being. Okay. um, I'm not doing any sort of trigger warnings. Um, Not really necessary here, but just wanted to name that that's what I'm going to be talking about. We'll do a really um, brief meditation around death, and I'm just going to be talking about death, dying, and grief for a few minutes. Um, so I can share a little bit of my personal background, if that's helpful. Um, Naming that relationality, being able to relate to one is helpful. And I know I can't see it right now if you might be watching this, but just naming this shared human experience and our awareness of death, something that separates us from other animals, although kind of going back to what I shared in the last video. Do we know what other animals are experiencing? I don't know. That's a little bit of a projection, perhaps. Um, However, it doesn't seem that other species are caught up in it. That's all I know is I don't really observe other species orienting around this too much. Um, and I'm just going to speak a little bit to spirituality. Um, and I'll use this as a segue, or an opportunity for me to share about my own experience. um, so I grew up in the South, around the suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia, and I was raised Catholic, although I would not say my household was like very Catholic. One side of the family, yes, and one side of the family, no. So yes, we grew up going to church though most weeks until I was like tween age, and then I chose to not go anymore. Um, and for me, I never experienced, until I was an adult, I never experienced spirituality outside of the context of organized religion. And I never really felt connected to organized religion, um, which I'm not going to get into. Um, but I will say that when I moved to California when I was 19, I had space and exposure basically to a different culture that allowed me to start healing, for me, what I call like religious trauma. Um, like I was exposed to shame and um, dissociation through religion. And when I moved to a more like open and diverse spiritual culture that exists in the Bay Area of California, I was able to start to understand that spirituality and religion can sometimes be the same thing, but are not inherently the same thing. And I started learning about this um, in my own spiritual path, which always has come back to like the body and presence. Um, so, having some spinal injuries, like fractures in my spine as a teenager, and like healing that and managing chronic pain in my spine with a transitional vertebrae has kind of forced, but also allowed me to really connect um, to the body in a way that is healing. And now hopefully I get to share my gifts with others, and I do. Very grateful. So, um, through this practice, I have been able to use tools um, to rewire my relationship with grief. I've had a lot of grief towards my own body. Of course, the body shaming, body image thing, male gaze. But for me specifically, like in addition to that, um, our body is like a tool that we use as opposed to like a source of wisdom or like a gift. Um, because of this hidden disability, so to speak, with my extra disc in my lumbar spine, um, I've I've experienced this path of rewiring my relationship around grief, and that's just one way that that's manifested because I've had a lot of grief towards my own self. Um, disliking my own body, not trusting my own body. When my back was broken, I didn't know it, and then I had some nerve damage that was like increasingly causing pain. So finally, I was able to um, be healed, and fortunately, my parents like helped me as a teenager make that happen. Um, but this in ingrained experience, this impact, this imprint around not being able to trust my own body. Like, wow, you can walk around for an unknown amount of time and have fractures in your body that you don't know about. Um, something can be going on and we don't know about it. Like, how disconnected from my own body was I to not know that something was wrong? Um, and also, this is a complex system. So, that I can be really connected to my body and still not know if something's going on necessarily. Um, but it really like scared me, and there was a lot of deep grief that over the years I experienced, and it was confusing. Um, losing multiple people close to my life to suicide uh, was life changing. Um, and I could go on and on. My healing experience is never ending. This is our life's journey, and um, I'm here to share with others. It, the healing is in the process, and the process is never over. We're in this for our whole lives, and as we increase our capacity to be with grief, with sorrow, with challenge, we are also increasing our capacity to be with pleasure and joy and contentment and exuberation and gratitude for aliveness. Wow, sometimes I feel so heavy and so hopeless with what's happening in the world. I could just come back to like, I am feeling this. You know, I get to feel this. I get to be a part of this. It's not necessarily like a celebration like joy, but like a gratitude, a deep gratitude for being able to experience life in all of its forms, how it shows up, right? Just taking a moment with that. So it's a little bit, just me sharing about my background just a little bit. Um, and for me, I know that a lot of my clarity and fulfillment comes from alchemizing that grief, the loss and sorrow, the absolute, like, um, just tragic losses that we can experience, that we know are being experienced on the planet. That for me, there's no rationalizing, there's no spiritual practice or words that are going to lighten this load. It is just tragic. It is sad. It is makes me angry. All these challenging things that can come up around the experience of death, dying, and unnecessary suffering that we have not collectively of adapted around, evolved around yet, right? That I know for me, it is my spiritual practice to hold this with compassion and alchemize this through the body, through grief, allowing myself to cry, allowing myself to be angry, allowing myself to, you know, make art or dance or, yell, vent and have various practices to alchemize this this love, feeling so intensely because I love this planet. I love my family. I love my friends. I love life. And when this is going on, it's very difficult. And so alchemizing this for me brings me clarity in my life's path, that I am honoring this. I'm honoring these people in my life, people I don't know, by using this energy to make the world a better place, to have gratitude, to help people, to be humble, to use my unearned and earned privilege to make the world a better place. This is my responsibility. I'm speaking only for myself right now. I think it's important to speak from our own personal experiences when it comes to mental health work, with developing our emotional intelligence, with empathy practices, because I could never speak for anybody else, right? I find it difficult enough to speak for myself. That's why I'd rather dance, but there's so much room for interpretation with dance. So I will save that for another time. Okay. I hope you find this helpful. Um, that there's this connection for all of the differences, beautiful differences, things we can never understand about each other, and the differences that make our world so resilient because of the diversity, because of the diversity in our experiences, because of the diversity in our personalities, because of the diversity in our passions and how we're going to fight the good fight. Diversity allows for collective resilience, right? That's how ecology works. That's how nature works. We are nature. Okay. So I hope that this share can help, this all these differences that exist, but this connection around empathy and some of the shared experiences. It is simply human experience. Okay. Mm. So I'm going to just read a short quote from the Dalai Lama on death, um, and leave it at that. Okay. So whatever you need to do to kind of like shake off what you just heard, if that feels helpful, or just taking a deep breath, shifting. Awareness of death is the very bedrock of the path. Until you have developed this awareness, all other practices are useless. The Dalai Lama. Mm. Many blessings, grace, and love to you and your family. Thank you for taking the time for all of us, for yourself, for your loved ones who have come and gone, for loved ones who have yet to be in this particular manifestation of life. May you be well. If you found this helpful, I encourage you to share, and uh, knowing that this is, once again, an ongoing practice. But thank you so much for practicing with me.